Everyone knows Kylian Mbappé. He's the teenage prodigy who lifted the World Cup at 19 and the marquee signing who finally took his place at Real Madrid. His early career was so statistically dominant that analysts had to reach back to the 1958 World Cup to find a teenager doing similar damage on a global stage, specifically Pelé. And he's fully embedded in pop culture, happily leaning into the running joke from his teammates and fans that he looks like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. But this highly visible public identity actually accounts for roughly 30% of the total, actual Mbappé story. Behind the blinding speed is a carefully engineered enterprise built on the rejection of elite European megaclubs, early investments in corporate buyouts, and a childhood sweeping classroom floors. The full picture only emerges once you account for his physics, his upbringing, and his boardroom operations. Let's start with his most obvious asset, his speed. During a League One match against Monaco, tracking data clocked his sprint at a peak velocity of 38 kilometers per hour. This chart compares Mbappé's top speed directly against Olympic history. You can see his 38 km per hour peak metric edging past the 37.58 km per hour average speed Usain Bolt held during his 2009 100-meter world record run. That velocity translates directly to scoreboard impact. Against Lille, he scored the fastest goal in French league history, finding the back of the net in exactly 8 seconds. Yet that 8-second strike wasn't a spontaneous burst of athleticism. The Paris Saint-Germain coaching staff had actually spent the week studying a highly specific kickoff routine executed by an under-19 squad, mapping out the precise run Mbappé would make right off the whistle. This calculated, elite tactical approach sits right next to a surprisingly juvenile streak. His signature crossed arms goal celebration? He stole that from his younger brother, Ethan, who hit that exact pose after beating him in a game of FIFA. His physical dominance is uniquely paired with a grounded, almost juvenile playfulness rooted entirely in his family dynamic. That grounding is by design. It is the exact blueprint of his parents, Wilfried and Feza, who acted as the strict architects of both his psychological development and his career management. When Mbappé was 14, he was invited to a dizzying VIP trial at Real Madrid. He spent the week rubbing shoulders with football royalty, including Zinedine Zidane, who personally drove him to training. But immediately after that trial, his mother required him to spend 3 days cleaning her classroom in Bondy, a deliberate move to bring him back to earth. This absolute control over his development started even earlier. At age 11, he went to London for a trial with Chelsea. The club recognized his talent, but hesitated, asking him to return for a second trial because they felt he didn't track back enough on defense. This timeline illustrates his mother's hardline response. She refused the second trial, telling Chelsea they must sign him today or in 5 years pay £50 million. But she undervalued him. His eventual Paris Saint-Germain transfer reached an astonishing $200 million. That intense familial insulation continued deep into his adult life. Despite earning enough cash to purchase Sergio Ramos's sprawling Madrid mansion, his day-to-day existence was so heavily managed and shielded that he didn't even obtain his driver's license until he was 27 years old. This extreme discipline insulated him from the traditional toxicity of teenage fame, allowing him to retain absolute control over his market value. As he moved into his 20s, that early independence evolved into a sprawling corporate empire. Instead of just cashing standard endorsement checks, he moved into direct ownership. At age 25, he purchased an 80% stake in SM Khan, becoming the youngest active majority owner of a professional football club in history. His venture capital strategy is aggressive. Through his investment firm, he launched production company Zebra Valley, bought into Web3 platforms like Sarar, and invested heavily in SailGP, the high-speed racing competition known as the Formula One of the Sea. This corporate autonomy directly funds his philanthropic independence. After winning the World Cup, he refused to keep his £400,000 earnings, donating it all because he believed playing for his country should not be a paid gig. He also deploys his wealth quietly when tragedies strike. When footballer Emiliano Sala and pilot David Ibbotson went missing over the English Channel, Mbappé provided high-dollar financial support to fund the private search missions. His executive decisions, both in private equity and charitable donations, prove he operates as a self-sustaining institution rather than a passive athlete. Kylian Mbappé and his family engineered his exact destiny starting when he was 11 years old. They looked at the standard football academy conveyor belt and systematically rejected it. The lightning-fast player tearing past defenders operates in tandem with a billionaire executive pulling the strings from the top floor. While his speed is historic, his most enduring legacy is the billion-dollar empire he dictated off the pitch, all while staying rooted in the Parisian suburbs where he started.
Welcome to Byte Tunes. To know more amazing things, please subscribe this channel.